All right, welcome. So I'm going to go over this breakaway scan for weight loss. It's a bioenergetic scan that we are running as part of my full scan if you wanted to add it on. Now, it's not going to come automatically. So if this is something that interests you, you just have to let me know when you purchase that full bioenergetic scan. What does come automatically is physical root cause in a priority. Ran as like what is the biggest priority, and then also detox and drainage, minerals, and imbalances, as well as a full emotional scan, which is going to also look at limiting beliefs and patterns that are showing up in the physical, generational patterns. It's super cool. So you can add on something like this. There's no extra cost. You just have to let me know when you purchase if you wanted to add this on. But if you guys have been following me a long time, you're pretty aware that I have been pretty struggling with this almost my whole life. So I've always kind of ranged around 20 to 40 pounds overweight, according to what is like a healthy BMI. And it's something that I've always kind of been searching for answers for. Emotionally, I've done a lot of work here because I do tend to put up a lot of walls, and when we look at extra weight, it can be protective. It can be protective against unwanted attention. It can be protective as a sabotage tool for not being able to be vulnerable or getting close to people. I kind of ran the program of I'm not ready, I'm not good enough. So until I reach this goal weight or goal body, then I'm not going to deserve to have this relationship, that kind of job. I'm not going to be able to run a successful business because people won't trust me because I don't have the body that is typical for somebody who's healthy. And so all of that stuff are things that I've gone deeper in with people that I've worked with and then personally as well. So there's a lot to extra weight. Now, as someone that has gone through mast cell activation and mold illness, we know that that severe inflammation is a big part of why mold can cause us to just blow up. I mean, I've worked with people who have gained 60 to 100 pounds under a year because they were living in mold. So I feel for you guys. I've also done all of the peptides for weight loss with zero results. So even the semaglutide, tirzepatide, retatrutide, I tried all of them, and not only did they give me side effects, but they also didn't help with weight loss either. So I know you guys' frustration when it comes to certain symptoms like this. Now, something that I also want to say before we get started in reviewing the scan is that in your life, if there's something that a symptom or, a job or a relationship or money or whatever the thing is that you feel is your excuse for why you can't have certain things or why you aren't ready for certain things, um, getting to a place where it's not something that you're obsessing about is going to help with allowing for that thing to finally process and release. Because when we are in that lack, like I don't have this, it's resistance. It's energetically, we're resisting the flow of being able to release and process and allow other things like the things that we want to actually come into our lives. So that's something I practice on a daily basis. I honestly, every day I get closer and closer to it's okay if this symptom never resolves. It's okay if I never have that. I still feel good about myself. I still am okay with my life, even if I never have that thing. And it just takes practice with some of these things. And that could be weight loss, but that could also be a symptom that you have from chronic illness. That could also be a job that you never got, a relationship that you never had, an amount of money that you think will make you happy. It could be really any of those things. Okay, so without further ado, let's get to the actual results because you're probably looking at this like, what does this all mean? So the bioenergetics, this is the raw data, and this is what I use to create the report for you guys, and it's going to look a lot nicer and it will be a little bit more organized so that it makes sense when we go over it. So from the weight loss perspective, This is in order of priority. So first thing that comes up is liver tissue. Sarcodes are homeopathic tinctures that are made from the actual like liver tissue. So it's heavily, heavily diluted. And this is coming in as a physical, this is physically affecting the body. So liver tissue. I did have a decade or more of very heavy alcohol use, most likely estrogen dominance, absolutely candida overgrowth because of that alcohol use. I used a lot of recreational drugs. And then I had hepatitis A in 2018, which really kickstarted my lovely journey of chronic illness. So I'm not surprised to see liver tissue on here because I really believe that all of those years of the damage that probably was done to the liver tissue, plus then having hepatitis, really seemed to switch something in me. And, I've been struggling with chronic illness ever since. So, not surprised to see this, and it is showing up in the physical. So, the liver stabilizes blood sugar, plays a role with cholesterol metabolism. It also helps to detox toxins like chemicals, fungal toxins like candida. So if we have candida overgrowth, the liver is also working extra hard because candida is emitting biotoxins back into the body. It emits acetaldehyde, which is something that has to get broken down by the liver and is a very toxic substance. So I also had chemical toxins resonating in a physical, nicotine toxins, which is actually generational, a couple generations back, but funny, it's not the first time I've seen nicotine on here. I have never, ever been a smoker. I always had asthma, but there's some of that in my family. And my boyfriend also uses a vape, so I wonder if that is resonating from exposure from that currently as well. But these two definitely make sense. Candida also, I'm sure I've had candida overgrowth for most of my life, but then also after mold, candida has come up on almost every single bioenergetic scan that I've ever done. And it's actually showing up generational. So with alcohol use, I have a lot of generational alcohol use as well. So both sides of the family. And alcohol use is really going to disrupt that microbiome, and then we're going to have candida overgrowth. And when we have candida overgrowth, we will have more allergies, we will have more swelling, we will have more bloating. We oftentimes that can be linked with weight gain as well. It also fuels sweet cravings, and I've always had that. That also kind of I can see that back on certain sides of my family too. And yeah, it just makes sense. Not surprised. Now T4 resonated on a generational level. Last time I did blood work, my thyroid panel was absolutely perfect, which I was like, that's crazy. But my thyroid panel has never really been too askew on blood work. However, every single female and my grandmother and grandfather on my mom's side has hypothyroidism. So I wonder about, um, if it, even if it's not showing up on blood work, that's one of the reasons I love HTMA is it gave me insight to, well, my thyroid was making the hormones, but my cells weren't really getting them. So I was in that massive calcium shell, which calcium can inhibit the ability for thyroid hormone to get into the cell. And then also the T4 needs to be converted into T3. And nothing related to T3 really showed up besides the liver. So it gets converted in the liver to T3, and that's our active form. Not surprised to see Sarcode's hypothalamus. This is showing up in a physical sense as well. And adrenals, hypothalamus, these always show up for me as well. I'm a chronic overdoer, overworker. Hypothalamus kickstarts that stress response. It's the H and the HPA axis, but it's also kickstarts the thyroid. It also plays a role with emotional regulation and a few other hormones too. Insulin is resonating. My insulin was a little high out of the functional range the last time I tested. However, blood sugar was pretty much perfect. And insulin was not out of range for a Western level at all. My leptin, which is a precursor to insulin sensitivity, was also a slightly bit high. Like I think it was an 8 or 9, and the functional range goes to 7. And so particularly those two things could be definitely impacting weight loss. Exercise duration recommended 30 minutes. So for all you people who think I have to go to the gym for an hour or it's not worth it, absolutely not. The other thing interesting for toxins besides chemicals, EB viral toxins or Epstein-Barr. Also, what resonated is herpes viral toxins as well. And the interesting thing is these have consistently also showed up on my biores scans, not every single time, but they keep coming back. And I have had zero symptoms of these my entire life. And also, on my blood work, Epstein-Barr antibodies were high as well. And again, no symptoms. I don't struggle with fatigue. I never get sick. I can't even think about a time where I felt like I was too sick to even function. I'm like a never call out of work type person. Now, does that mean that, this isn't affecting me? Definitely not. Epstein-Barr can also affect the joints, and I do have some symptoms there. It can affect the thyroid and the T4 is resonating, but it's coming through on a generational level. So it may not even be something that is physically present. This one, the herpes viral toxins, which Epstein-Barr is a herpes in the herpes category. There's a lot of different herpes viruses. So this doesn't mean it doesn't have to mean cold sores. It doesn't have to mean genital herpes, which I do not have, but yeah, there's Epstein-Barr would fall into this category, and these are showing up on a physical level. So we imprinted a homeopathic tincture with balancing frequencies of what's needed for this, which homeopathy I feel like is the best for these types of things. Because in my journey, I took so much antiviral herbs. I took so many things to address Lyme and viral toxins and candida overgrowth, and I just kept getting worse. So I'm really on the train of the mineral balancing, replenishing nutrients, and homeopathy for these things because I feel good, I feel better, and I think it just takes time for some of the symptoms. But moving on, so then we have ALA. So this resonated for the joints. This is a fatty acid. Just something I need to get more in through food or through a supplement form. Really cool that this 7-day detox miracle resonated. So there's a lot of different eating plans, obviously, programmed into this. And this is something I never really tried, but it's resonating currently, and it's only 7 days. So I'm going to look into it and find a good time to add it in, see if that helps. Then we have another hypothalamus gland marker resonating. Hypothalamus is where leptin docks after we're sleeping. So it's like the energy signal of the body. And leptin, even though it didn't come up on here, leptin is a light hormone, which means the circadian rhythm practices like sunrise, midday, sunset, walking, grounding, drinking structured water, being hydrated, all of that affects leptin, which then affects insulin. And hypothalamus plays a role there. Then I see magnesium coming up. I've been on lots of magnesium, but I have chronic twitching. So sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. Through mineral balancing, it's been up and down. But magnesium also resonates as low on the root cause scan as well as, on HTMA. Exercise intensity, 65 to 80%. So we're looking at 30 minutes at 65 to 80%. No high intensity. This is physical like recommendation. We also have the pituitary lobe, so the HPA axis, HPT axis, it's hypothalamus, then pituitary. Pituitary also makes quite a few different hormones that could affect weight, like growth hormone as well. And then exercise frequency only 2 times a week. So, an anaerobic exercise. So, twice a week, anaerobic, 65 to 80%. And what was the last thing? 30 minutes. Yeah. So, it gives you specific of what is your body ready to do. It's ready to eat like this. It's ready to have this type of exercise. We need some more HPA axis support. We need some liver support. We need some more magnesium. We need maybe some liver support, which I'm already doing, maybe some blood sugar. And I forgot to mention when we first started, the amplification level is an 11. And this means the closer that number is to 15, the more that this is chronic, deep-rooted, possibly generational influence. So it's pretty close. It's 11 out of 15. So again, not surprised because this is, like I said, something I've been working on a while. So let me know if this was helpful. If you'd like to do a full scan, we can go over this as well as the physical root causes and imbalances, and also add in that emotional layer. So through the emotional scan, we can test what's blocking the weight loss from an emotional standpoint. I've gone over my emotional scan on my YouTube as well, so you can scroll down to my most recent video and it'll be on there too. Reach out to me at thehealerrevolution.com or thehealerrevolution@gmail.com and we can get it set up. Thanks. Bye-bye.